Greetings, my fellow freedom-loving sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning to LL3 Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful realms of planet Earth. Today's date is Sunday, November 2nd, 2025. This is episode 1912. The Fourth Amendment being outsmarted and Victory Gardens are a plus. Before I proceed, you can find me on multiple social media sites and podcast channels. Just type in Looky Luck number 3, Looky Luck Roman number 3 with 3 eyes, or the Looky Luck Roman number 3 podcast. In addition, if you have any questions, comments, recommendations, all that good stuff, whatever you do, please use decorum. Hit me via email to ll3.podcast@proton.me. If you want to donate, go to PayPal.me or Cash Out @/Looky Luck number 3. I'm trying to get the Steam account activated again. Just made a mistake on my computer, but I do have the files, but I've been so busy to take initiative on getting that done, but bear with me on Steam it. Oh my goodness, yep, so multiple things are happening. I was like going through the Epoch Times yesterday and seeing the local elections in Miami, New York, Cincinnati, Atlanta. We got too many folks out there wigging out about Mom and Daddy, or Mom and Daddy, I call them, and Cuomo, and of course Curtis Silva, or Silva, right? Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name correctly. So you got a glam boy, an alleged war criminal for COVID, and you have community activists that know those streets for all those years. Some people may call him a prick or an a-hole, but you know what? He didn't do that to be. He didn't do that to be nice. Okay, so, and I know one thing for sure. When they try to tell him to try to bribe him to get Curtis off the race, he says hell no. He's one thing I gotta give him props for. He stands for principle. The other guys, Huey and Dewey, to hell with them. They're pathetic. And of course, the one in Minneapolis with the two mayors, like the one they don't talk like this, like they look and think and smell like, but they have a different skin color. Pathetic. You got the jackass Trey, I think his name is, and you got some other goofball from Somalia who wants everything like Somalia, and of course, Infidel Ilhan endorsed him. So go figure. Hey, if people in Minneapolis, if you got a globalist hack like Omar trying to endorse somebody because for what they are, because of Somalian, you're being played. Don't fall for the hype. And the people who are naturalized citizens that came from Somalia, you don't want to bring those attributes that happen to your homeland. And I say that in good faith. So it's ethical, not ethnical. And what's going on in Atlanta? That's a different planet. That's not in Georgia, according to a lot of people who live there. Okay, so and Cincinnati got a couple of clowns in there too, but you got Chaplin running as well. So choose wisely, okay? Don't let these people get to you. And here's the thing about even Mom and Daddy and Cuomo, what they have in common, they admit they promise you they're going to breach their oath of office. And all those other idiots, too, that are running. So always let that sink in, my friends, all right? Well, I was like looking through here about the food stamps suspended as Congress fails to reach deal. I know this is not part of it, but you can say the solution will be on here. It's in reference to the federal food stamp program, SNAP. And provides an average $187.20 per month. Approximately 42 million low-income participants, according to data for the U.S. agriculture. And what gets me, because there's people out there in the past, okay, with the whole food stamps deal, was mainly driving Mercedes and BMWs. They're paying food stamps, and people trying to sell them. Now they got the SNAP card. And that's why I always tell everybody this, man. Do not rely on the government to give you assistance for everything. Yes, there's people out there that do need it for temporary, but you got folks out there are taking it for granted. And there's even claims, too, that illegal aliens are getting it as well. Let that sink in. But there's a solution to that, and I encourage everyone, including yours truly, is going to do the same thing. And that's all, I got to say about that. But it's very interesting on this reopen the government and SNAP program. They're all going to try to blame it on President Trump. But the fact is this, Article 1, Section 7 of the U.S. Constitution states that the House are the originators for revenue, and the Senate has to concur. So throw it on Congress. And I love it when Donald Trump made that statement on Truth Social about crying Chuck Schumer. And I'm no disciple of the man, of Donald Trump. However, I do find that entertaining. So don't get too offended, folks. Well, I'm going to be right back, so stay tuned. All right, so the first thing I'm going to be reading here came from libertyconservativenews.substack.com. Fourth Amendment is being outsmarted by big data. As it reads here, law enforcement is sidestepping the Constitution by buying private data. This is on November 1st, by the way. It's one of the least known, least regulated, most powerful surveillance systems in the United States, and it doesn't require a warrant. Across the country, law enforcement agencies are quietly buying personal data from commercial brokers, location histories, app activity, credit information, even search queries, sidestepping the Fourth Amendment's requirement for judicial oversight. What used to require probable cause and the judge's signature can now be purchased with a government credit card. Yep, your tax dollars at work, folks. The Constitution is being bypassed by a line item in a budget, said Senator Rand Paul, Republican from Kentucky, who has renewed his push for a federal ban on warrantless data purchases. If the government can buy what it can't legally seize, then privacy doesn't exist. From warrants to wallets, instead of obtaining a court order to track a suspect's home, many local police departments and even federal agencies like the FBI, DEA, and IRS are turning to private data brokers who legally buy and resell the same digital information harvested from smartphone apps, location services, and online platforms. Among the most popular vendors are companies like LexisNexis, Risk Solutions, Fog Reveal, and Thomson Reuters Clear, all of which aggregate billions of data points from commercial sources and sell law enforcement access packages that allows officers to search and map personal activity patterns. At warrantless surveillance by subscription, said Nate Wessler, Deputy Director of the ACLU's Speech, Privacy, and Technology Project. Police don't need a judge, they just need an invoice. In some cases, officers have used these databases to track a person's location history, monitor political gatherings, or identify people who attended religious services or protests. According to an internal DHS audit leaked in August 2025, over 220 federal, state, and local agencies are now using commercial data platforms to augment investigative intelligence, a euphemism, for bypassing traditional warrants. A billion-dollar gray market. The private surveillance industry has exploded since 2020. Data brokers collect, analyze, and sell everything from GPS locations, pings, and Wi-Fi signals to credit card records and social media metadata. Many of these data sets are originally gathered by apps, weather alerts, navigation tools, loyalty programs, and then anonymized, at least in theory, are being resold. But in practice, researchers have repeatedly shown that anonymous data can easily be re-identified, linking activity to specific individuals. Law enforcement agencies can then pay for access without ever engaging a judge or filing a warrant. The practice, known as data laundering, whatever you want to pronounce it, allows the government to circumvent the Fourth Amendment by simply buying the private sector's surveillance outputs. When the NSA collects data, there's outrage, said Representative Tom Massey, Republican from Kentucky. When the police buy the same data from broker, everyone looks the other way. The end result is the same: government surveillance of Americans without probable cause. The legal loophole. The Fourth Amendment prohibits unreasonable searches and seizures, but current law was written long before smartphones become personal tracking devices. Under the outdated third-party doctrine, data shared with companies like Google, Apple, or Verizon isn't protected in the same way as data stored in your home or on your hard drive. This means the government can legally purchase that data, even if obtaining it directly would violate your constitutional rights. Courts have begun to push back. In the 2018 Carpenter versus United States decision, the Supreme Court ruled that police generally need a warrant to access cell phone location data from carriers, but that ruling didn't address commercial data, creating a loophole that's now being exploited. The Carpenter ruling closed one door but left another wide open, says Caitlin Ringrose, a privacy attorney with the Electronic Privacy Information Center, or EPIC. The data brokers walked right through. The players, data brokers, turned spies for hire. Fogg revealed, marketed to police as a Google for crime, used a cell phone ad data to pinpoint devices within specific geographic areas, a tool used to identify protest participants in at least 4 states. Lexis Risk Solutions provides access to over 200 million personal records, including addresses, credit scores, and social connections. Thomson Reuters Clear has been contracted by dozens of sheriff's offices to perform continuous identity tracking. Ventel, a firm previously exposed for selling smartphone location data to ICE and DHS, has expanded its contracts to include domestic law enforcement for public safety missions. Collectively, these firms represent a multi-billion-dollar pipeline of information from the private sector to government investigators, all outside the traditional warrant system. States push back. In 2024, Maine and Utah passed laws requiring warrants for government access to commercial location data. Now, lawmakers in Tennessee, Florida, and Texas are considering similar bans, seeking to close what many call the data broker loophole. We fought a revolution over general warrants, said Tennessee State Senator Mark Pody, Republican from Lebanon. Now the government just writes a check to get around the Constitution. That's not freedom. Liberty advocates are calling for Congress to pass the Fourth Amendment's Not for Sale Act, reintroduced by Rand Paul and Senator Ron Wyden, Democrat from Oregon, which would prohibit government agencies from purchasing Americans' data without a warrant or subpoena. The bill has bipartisan support, but has stalled in committee, partly due to lobbying from tech and data analytics firms that rely on lucrative federal contracts. Let's kick those dinkleberries out of there, okay? Those lobbyist groups. They contaminate space. The liberty angle at privacy as the first freedom. For conservatives and constitutionalists, the issue isn't just privacy, it's power. When government can buy its way around the Bill of Rights, the entire framework of limited government collapses. The Fourth Amendment was meant to protect citizens from exactly this kind of intrusion. Paul said the founders couldn't have imagined smartphones, but they understood human nature. Power will always seek a backdoor. The rise of digital surveillance by government, corporations, or both means the traditional warrant system must evolve. Without reform, surveillance creep could transform America into a data-driven police state where every citizen is traceable, accountable, and predictable. Conclusion, a digital Bill of Rights. The problem is no longer theoretical, it's systemic. What was once done in secret by intelligence agencies is now done openly through contracts and purchases. If the Fourth Amendment doesn't extend to digital data, it may soon protect nothing at all. Freedom requires privacy, said Judge Andrew Napolitano, a constitutional scholar. A government that can track you without permission doesn't need to knock on your door because it's already inside your phone. The technology may be new, but the principle is old. Power unchecked will always grow, and liberty unguarded will always fade. And that's absolutely correct. And one thing about these cell phones, they're considered effects. Okay, so that's why you need. So it's pretty relevant today. Like digital Bill of Rights is understandable, but remember, effects is in there. So it's on its face, and many of the state constitutions have the same information. So utilize all those angles, folks, the best you can. and always got to remain vigilant. And I know there's phones out there now. They're not they're non-traceable, non-Google phones. I encourage people to try to buy those. Sometimes maybe a little pricey, but in due time. But one thing we got to say, every gadget has a flaw, okay? On Achilles' heel. So we got to learn how to counter this tracing if we got to use our little gadgets here. So, including yours truly, I got to do the same thing. But one thing for sure, these dingleberries, these totalitarian hacks, better know something. It's gonna blow back in their faces because when it happens to them, they don't want to be screaming like banshees in heat. Remember, government is control of the mind. Never trust them, regardless if they're federal, state, or local. Well, I'm gonna do my final segment in a little bit, so stay tuned. All right, I'm gonna do one more here. Came from the Epoch Times. Came out yesterday. Victory Garden Alliance inspires Americans to grow their own produce. Jacqueline Caporati founded the organization to reflect the Victory Garden movement that originated in World War II, and this was written by Jeff Lauterbeck. As it reads, from her New Jersey home, Jacqueline Caporati envisions a symbolic return to 1945, when many Americans grew their own food and were called upon to support the war effort by creating victory gardens. During World War II, more than 20 million registered victory gardens sprouted across the United States. By 1945, these gardens produced 40% of the nation's fresh produce. The majority were tended by women, children, and seniors, while many younger men were fighting on the Europe and Pacific fronts. Front yards became vegetable patches, school playgrounds sprouted rows of beans, and churchyards turned into fields of lettuce and potatoes. In 2024, Caporati founded the Victory Garden Alliance, which she told the Epoch Times is a nonprofit organization that she's confident will become a nationwide movement. Caporati has 2 adult children with cystic fibrosis, a life-threatening lung and multi-systemic disease. During the COVID-19 pandemic, amid the lockdown, she said that the family stayed at home for almost a year. It was a lonely time where they felt isolated. She told the Epoch Times the garden was a place of solace. COVID-19 posed an enormous threat to children like mine. The garden gave us freedom. We grew our food, ate healthier, drew wildlife like pollinators to our garden, soaked in the sun, and breathed in the fresh air, Caporati said. It wasn't just about vegetables, she said. It was about resilience, about reclaiming some control in the world that felt utterly uncertain. For my daughter, Emily, it was a place to escape her worries for her brother's health and her own. For both of us, it was healing. When Kennedy launched his presidential campaign, he talked about the severity of chronic disease in children, inspiring Caporati to learn all she could about regenerative agriculture. Caporati helped manage Kennedy's presidential campaign in New Jersey. As part of her role, she launched Kennedy Victory Gardens, and Americans from coast to coast started dedicating their existing gardens to the movement or planting new gardens. And one moment here. I'm just want to see. Okay, cool. Just making sure I'm getting any vibration or rings on my phone. So I'll keep on going here. And Caporati helped manage Kennedy's presidential campaign in New Jersey. As part of her role, she launched Kennedy Victory Gardens and Americans from coast to coast. Okay, sorry about that. When Kennedy left the race to support Trump, Caporati said, I wanted to carry on the idea because it's essential as a country that we get back to growing our own food. So I renamed it Victory Garden Alliance. Caporati said World War II's Victory Garden movement was one of the most unifying cultural shifts in our history. Ordinary Americans became extraordinary citizens, each doing their part to feed the nation and strengthen morale. It wasn't political, it was patriotic, practical, and deeply communal. Yep, she said. Modern-day Victory Gardens do the same for the Make America Healthy Again movement by celebrating homegrown and homemade food, empowering families to localize their food supply, and honoring our farmers, she added. The original Victory Gardens thrive with the support of schools, churches, and local governments. Caporati's Victory Garden Alliance is growing through its Home Gardener Trade Program. Participants are partnering with community gardens, farmers markets, food pantries, and other nonprofit organizations committed to sustainable living. Imagine if every home gardener in your neighborhood could trade their extra tomatoes for fresh herbs, swap zucchini for berries, or exchange seeds for seedlings, Caparati said. The modern home gardener trade program allows us to support one another, reduce waste, and expand what's growing in our own backyards. Caparati said the program reflects the overall purpose of the Victory Garden Alliance. The trade network isn't just about food, it's about rebuilding local food resilience, promoting regenerative growing methods, and ensuring that no one has to rely solely on the food industry system for their nutrition, she said. It's also about making gardening more accessible to those who might not have all the tools, seeds, or knowledge to get started. Richard Lackey is a chairman and CEO of the World Food Bank, a Victory Garden Alliance partner. He said the movement is about reconnecting to the soil with others, illustrating his organization's focus on equipping farmers with the education, resources, and incentives to grow the most nutritious food possible. Lackey said he thinks that the healthier our souls, the healthier our nation will be. In the Make America Healthy Again movement, we've seen people take more responsibility for their own food supply and health. They recognize the dangers of ultra-processed foods, and that's important to know how their meat, produce, eggs, and other food items are raised, Caparati said. During the food garden era in World War II, people grew what they need, shared what they had, and strengthened their communities in the process, she added. Preventable disease like obesity, diabetes, and heart disease now impact more than 60% of the U.S. population, Caparati said. That takes a heavy toll on families, our healthcare system, and even our national security, she said. These conditions not only weaken our workforce, but also reduce military eligibility, leaving us less prepared to defend our nation. To reverse these trends, we must wholeheartedly embrace the Make America Healthy Again movement, and a significant part of that is growing your own food, knowing how to grow it in the healthiest way possible, and developing local networks where we can get the food we don't grow or raise, Caparati said. The Victory Garden Alliance is cultivating relationships with churches which were involved in mobilizing gardens in World War II. The act of cultivating food has been deeply intertwined with faith, community, and resilience. The original Victory Garden were never just about sustenance. They represented shared purpose, divine providence, and commitment to caring for one another through the simple but profound act of growing food, Caparati said. Today, food insecurity is rising, chronic illness is widespread, and communities are more fragmented than ever, she said. History teaches us that when people come together with a shared mission, transformation happens. Who better to lead this revival than faith communities, which have long stood at the heart of nurturing the body and the soul? Caparati is hopeful that more victory gardens will arise on church grounds and produce food for food pantries in 2026. Sorry, folks. Instead of solely relying on non-perishable donations, faith communities can provide abundant, nutrient-rich food and vegetables, she said. The church gardens also serves as a source of abundance for church events. Instead of catering or purchasing processed food, church meals are prepared with the bounty of what congregants have grown. Veterans are another group involved in the Victory Garden Alliance. John Jackson is an Iraqi veteran and founder of Comfort Farms, a Victory Garden Alliance partner. Getting my hands in the soil and getting other veterans to do the same is a simple and proven way to make us happy and healthy again, he said. Jackson said he asked himself, why can't we do the same for our kids in schools, for the homeless, for the formerly incarcerated, for all Americans? That led him to get involved with the Victory Garden Alliance because of the organization's emphasis on bringing the movement to a wide range of groups. Sonny Welch is a founder of Joint 4Cs, a Victory Garden Alliance partner that incorporates regenerative agriculture with veteran wellness, ensuring that those who serve their country have access to the healing power of working with the land, which also opening pathways to meaningful careers in farming. a Joint Forces pilot program in Windsor, California, established a community garden at a supportive housing facility for formerly homeless veterans who participated in a twice-weekly session at the facility's Victory Garden. By the end of the program, Welch said 100% of the participants reported a reduction in suicide risk factors and a marked improvement in overall well-being. Veterans who put their hands in the soil aren't just growing food, they're reconnecting with themselves, their communities, and a new mission, Welch said. For many veterans, the physical toll of service doesn't end after discharge. Chronic pain, mobility issues, and injuries are common, making staying active both a challenge and a necessity, she said. Gardening provides a low-impact, high-benefit way to rebuild strength and mobility. Activities like digging, planting, and harvesting engage multiple muscle groups, improving flexibility, endurance, and coordination. Growing Victory Gardens also encourages veterans to embrace healthier eating habits, Welch said. As a society, we've gotten separated from the land and separated from nature. Being closer to your food and how you're treating your body and reducing the amount of processed food you consume feeds your physical health, while putting your hands in the soil fuels your mental health, she said. Earlier this year, Caparati launched Victory Garden 250, which intends to further inspire more Americans to plant gardens in 2026 to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the United States. She wrote an open letter to Trump outlining what she would like to see Victory Gardens become part of the America 250, a commission established by Congress to plan and orchestrate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. As part of Victory Garden 250, the organization is working to develop community pantries stocked with fresh produce donated by home gardeners and composting centers to reduce waste and enrich local soil to accompany the trade programs. The group has also has an idea called Snap Seeds, which would seeds distributed through the SNAP program. This would not only feed families, it would teach children how to nurture life and connect with their food and understand the value of sustainability. It would normalize homesteading at every scale, whether a backyard, a balcony, or a windowsill herb pot, Caparati said. Imagine millions of new gardens planted across the country in backyards, on school grounds, in churches, senior centers, and veteran homes, each one a living tribute to the resilience, health, and unity of the American people. That's why we envision for the Victory Garden 250, she said. Copywriter told the Epoch Times that she is unsure how many Victory Gardens have been planted nationwide. We had more than 200 of them when they were Kennedy Victory Gardens, but that was more than a year ago. We believe there are thousands, and it's our intent to have millions across the country next year. It is possible because more people are getting involved and more people understand the importance of growing their own food. Only thing I gotta say, I find this beautiful because self-reliance is important. Think and act locally is essential, and not always rely on the national food system, factory, farming, or anything like that. Even yours truly would want to take the initiative of getting involved in this as well. So just to let you folks know, because I have stuff ready to go, and we're planning to do the same thing, hopefully in the spring, get things going. The fact is this: when these big stores, when you are more self-reliant, the bottom line is this: they need, without us, they are nothing. It's like government and anything else. The people can make things happen. That's why I encourage people, get involved, learn these things. Start with a few stuff. Don't have to make a big acre of food as of yet, but start small. Then when you get to the rhythm, you enhance yourself and improve. It's like life in general. It's like people start playing video games. You're pretty lousy at first, then you know the patterns and you get real good. And anything else. Let's give you an example. So I give Ms. Caparati and those folks homage for what they're doing because, hey, let's make things better, right? Things are changing, but doesn't mean we can sit there, twiddle our thumb to do nothing. When you take actions like this, you're not just bettering yourself, but your community, your families, your community, etc. I like to see people do more victory gardens, and we can do some trades, and we can tell the supermarkets, hey, you need us more, we need you. You know how prices will plummet if that happens? Absolutely. Just think about that now, all right? Well, I like this article, and that's all I got to say. That will be it. I thank everyone for listening, plus feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations, all that good stuff, whatever you do, please use decorum. Hit me via email to ll3.podcast@proton.me. And if you want to get, what was I going to say? If you want to donate, go to PayPal at me or cash.app/local3. I will leave these 2 articles on my page, so you can check it out for yourselves. And if you want to support Liberty Conservative News and the Epoch Times, donate, subscribe, it'd be great. Tell them LL3 sent you, or Look the Third. Once again, thank you for your time. Please always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading love. May your guardian spirits be with you.